Picture this moment in your career right now, where you stand at the crossroads between being merely good at what you do and becoming truly exceptional, where ordinary performance transforms into extraordinary achievement, where the mundane routine of showing up and doing just enough evolves into a passionate pursuit of excellence. That sets you apart from everyone else in your workplace, in your industry, in your entire professional sphere. This is not about working harder, grinding yourself into exhaustion, or sacrificing everything you love for a paycheck. No, this is about discovering the powerful principles that transform average employees into indispensable assets, the kind of people organizations build their futures around, the kind of professionals who write their own tickets in life because they've mastered the art of exceptional performance. Orison Swett Marden understood something profound about human potential in the workplace, something that most people never grasp in their entire careers. He recognized that the difference between those who struggle through decades of mediocre employment and those who rise rapidly to positions of influence and prosperity isn't primarily about talent, connections, or luck, though these certainly play their roles. No, the difference lies in a fundamental shift in perspective, in how we approach our daily work, in the standards we set for ourselves when nobody's watching, in the integrity we maintain when cutting corners would be easier, in the enthusiasm we bring to tasks that others find tedious, in the initiative we demonstrate when others wait for instructions. The exceptional employee, as Marden paints this portrait, is not born but made, shaped through conscious choices, deliberate habits, and an unwavering commitment to principles that might seem old-fashioned in our modern age but remain eternally powerful. These are individuals who understand that every task, no matter how small, is an opportunity to build their reputation, to strengthen their character, to demonstrate their value. They recognize that the quality of their work is ultimately the quality of their life, that sloppy, half-hearted efforts create sloppy, half-hearted results, while excellence in small things builds momentum toward excellence in all things. Think about the last time you walked into a business and encountered someone who clearly loved what they did, someone whose eyes lit up when helping you, someone who went beyond the basic requirements of their job description to ensure you had an outstanding experience. Remember how that made you feel, how you probably told others about it, how that person's enthusiasm was almost contagious. Now contrast that with the far more common experience of dealing with someone who's clearly just going through the motions, watching the clock, doing the bare minimum to avoid getting fired, treating you like an interruption to their day. The difference between these two experiences is the difference between exceptional and ordinary employees, and that difference ripples out in ways that affect careers, companies, and entire economies. Marden begins by establishing a foundational truth that many people resist, that we are far more capable than we believe, that within each of us lies dormant potential waiting to be awakened through proper cultivation. The exceptional employee recognizes this truth and refuses to settle for performing at a fraction of their capacity. They understand that capability unused is capability wasted, that talents left undeveloped atrophy and die, that the comfort zone is where dreams go to wither. This recognition drives them to continuously push their own boundaries, to embrace challenges that make others uncomfortable, to volunteer for the difficult assignments that everyone else avoids. Consider the story of a young clerk working in a bustling merchandise firm in the late 19th century, a time when opportunities for advancement were scarce and competition was fierce. This young man, we'll call him Thomas, had no special advantages, no wealthy family connections, no prestigious education, just a burning desire to become more than his circumstances suggested he should be. Thomas noticed that while other clerks arrived precisely at opening time and left exactly at closing, often spending their days in idle conversation and minimal effort, he could use these same hours differently. He arrived early, not to impress his superiors, though they certainly noticed, but to prepare himself for the day ahead, to organize his workspace, to review his tasks and plan his approach. He stayed late, not because anyone required it, but because he saw opportunities to learn aspects of the business that others ignored. But here's what made Thomas truly exceptional. He didn't just put in more hours, he put in more intelligent effort. While others complained about tedious tasks like inventory checks and filing, Thomas saw these as opportunities to learn the merchandise intimately, to understand what sold well and what didn't, to recognize patterns that others missed. He asked questions, not annoying, time-wasting questions, but thoughtful inquiries that demonstrated his genuine interest in understanding the business at a deeper level. He observed the successful senior employees, noting not just what they did, but how they thought, how they approached problems, how they interacted with customers and colleagues. Within 2 years, Thomas had been promoted 3 times, leaping over employees who had been with the company far longer. His salary had tripled, but more importantly, he had transformed himself from a replaceable clerk into a valuable asset. The owner of the firm began consulting him on important decisions, recognizing that Thomas understood aspects of the business that even long-time employees had never bothered to learn. This wasn't magic, this wasn't luck. This was the natural result of exceptional performance, of bringing excellence to every task, of treating each day as an opportunity rather than an obligation. The exceptional employee, Marden emphasizes, possesses an attitude toward work that fundamentally differs from the ordinary employee's mindset. Where others see drudgery, the exceptional employee sees possibility. Where others see obstacles, the exceptional employee sees puzzles to solve. Where others see minimum requirements, the exceptional employee sees starting points for excellence. This attitude isn't naive optimism or false enthusiasm. It's a pragmatic recognition that we spend the majority of our waking hours at work, and we have a choice about how we experience those hours. We can drag ourselves through them, resenting every moment, viewing our employment as a necessary evil, or we can find meaning, purpose, and satisfaction in doing our work with excellence. This perspective shift changes everything, absolutely everything. When you view your work as an opportunity to build your skills, to prove your worth, to create value for others, the entire experience transforms. Tasks that once felt meaningless suddenly have purpose. Challenges that once felt overwhelming become exciting tests of your growing capabilities. Relationships with colleagues that were merely transactional become collaborative partnerships. The hours that once crawled by suddenly seem insufficient for all you want to accomplish. But Marden is clear that this transformation requires more than just changing your attitude. It demands concrete changes in behavior, in habits, in how you approach every single aspect of your work. The exceptional employee is, first and foremost, absolutely reliable. When they commit to something, it happens. When they say they'll complete a task by a certain time, they do it, and often ahead of schedule. When they take responsibility for a project, others can rest assured it will be handled properly. This reliability isn't about perfection, everyone makes mistakes, but it's about consistency, follow-through, and maintaining standards even when it would be easier to let them slip. Think about the power of being known as someone who always delivers, who never makes excuses, who takes ownership of results rather than blaming circumstances. In a world where flakiness has become normalized, where people routinely overpromise and underdeliver, where commitments are treated as suggestions rather than obligations, the person who consistently follows through becomes extraordinarily valuable. Employers will pay premium salaries to retain such individuals because they understand that reliability is rare and precious. The exceptional employee also demonstrates remarkable initiative. They don't wait to be told what to do, they don't need constant supervision, they don't require hand-holding through every decision. They see what needs to be done, and they do it. They identify problems before they become crises. They spot opportunities that others overlook. They bring solutions rather than just highlighting problems. This initiative stems from a deep sense of ownership, treating the business as if it were their own, caring about outcomes beyond just their specific role. Marden shares the example of a woman named Sarah who worked as a secretary in a law firm, a position that most people viewed as purely clerical, involving typing, filing, answering phones, and managing schedules. Sarah performed these duties flawlessly, but she didn't stop there. She noticed that clients often had questions about legal procedures that seemed basic to the attorneys but were confusing to laypeople. Rather than simply transferring these calls or telling clients they'd have to speak with an attorney, Sarah began educating herself about these common procedures, creating simple, clear explanations that she could provide, while emphasizing when formal legal advice was necessary. She noticed that the filing system, while functional, made retrieving specific types of documents more time-consuming than necessary, so she proposed and implemented a reorganization that saved the attorneys hours each week. She observed that certain types of cases seemed to follow predictable patterns, so she created templates and checklists that made handling these cases more efficient and reduced the likelihood of missing important steps. Did anyone ask Sarah to do these things? No. Were they in her job description? Absolutely not. Did they require working massive amounts of overtime? Not particularly, though she did invest some personal time learning about legal procedures. What they required was initiative, observation, thoughtfulness, and a commitment to adding value beyond the minimum requirements. Within 3 years, Sarah had been promoted to office manager with a salary that exceeded what many paralegals earned, and when she eventually decided to pursue her law degree, the firm not only provided financial support, but guaranteed her a position as an associate upon graduation. This is the power of initiative, of refusing to be confined by narrow job descriptions, of constantly asking yourself, what else could I be doing to add value here? What problems could I solve? What improvements could I make? The exceptional employee understands that their job description is a floor, not a ceiling, a starting point for what they contribute, not a limitation. Closely related to initiative is the quality of enthusiasm, a characteristic that Marden considers absolutely essential to exceptional performance. Now, this isn't about forced cheerfulness or fake positivity. It's about genuine engagement with your work, finding aspects of it that energize rather than drain you, bringing a spirit of interest and vitality to what you do. Enthusiasm is magnetic. It attracts opportunities, mentors, collaborators, and promotions because people naturally want to work with and support those who demonstrate passion for their work. The challenge, of course, is maintaining enthusiasm when work becomes routine, when the initial excitement of a new position wears off, when you're dealing with difficult customers or challenging circumstances. This is where exceptional employees distinguish themselves. They've learned to generate enthusiasm internally rather than depending on external circumstances to provide it. They find the interesting angle in routine tasks. They set personal challenges to keep things engaging. They remember the larger purpose behind their daily activities. They celebrate small wins rather than only focusing on major achievements. Marden tells of a factory worker named James who performed the same manufacturing task hundreds of times per day, the kind of repetitive work that would drive many people to mind-numbing boredom. James could have approached this work with resignation, just grinding through each shift, letting his mind go blank or dwelling on how much he disliked the monotony. Instead, he turned it into a game, challenging himself to increase his efficiency, to reduce his error rate, to find small improvements in his technique. He studied the machinery, understanding it at a level far beyond what his position required. He noticed patterns in defects and brought suggestions to management about how to address their root causes. He helped train new workers, not because training was his responsibility, but because he enjoyed sharing what he'd learned. James's enthusiasm was contagious. The workers around him found themselves approaching their own tasks with more interest. The supervisors noticed that quality and productivity were consistently higher in James's area of the factory, and within 5 years, James had risen from a line worker to a production supervisor, to eventually becoming the plant manager, overseeing hundreds of employees. His technical knowledge certainly contributed to these promotions, but it was his sustained enthusiasm, his ability to find engagement in work that others found tedious, that truly set him apart. Now, approximately 10 minutes into our exploration of what makes an employee truly exceptional, let's pause for just a moment. If you're finding value in these insights, if these stories are resonating with you, if you can see how these principles might transform your own career, please take just a second to like this video and subscribe to Audiobook Library. Your support genuinely helps this channel grow and allows us to continue bringing you these transformative ideas from classic success literature. It takes just a moment, but means everything to our ability to keep creating this content for you. Let's continue by examining another crucial characteristic of exceptional employees: their commitment to continuous learning and improvement. The workplace landscape is constantly evolving, new technologies emerge, industry practices change, customer expectations shift, and what made you valuable 5 years ago might be merely adequate today. The exceptional employee recognizes this reality and refuses to become obsolete. They're constantly upgrading their skills, expanding their knowledge, seeking to understand not just their specific role, but the broader context in which they operate. This commitment to learning manifests in numerous ways. The exceptional employee reads industry publications, not because anyone requires it, but because they want to stay informed about trends and developments. They seek out training opportunities, sometimes investing their own time and money when their employer doesn't provide them. They learn from everyone around them, recognizing that colleagues, supervisors, and even subordinates all have knowledge and perspectives that could prove valuable. They're curious about other departments and functions within their organization, understanding that the more they know about how everything fits together, the more effectively they can contribute. Marden emphasizes that this learning orientation must be paired with humility, a willingness to admit what you don't know, to ask questions without worrying about appearing ignorant, to accept feedback and correction without defensiveness. The exceptional employee understands that pretending to know something you don't is far more damaging than admitting your knowledge gaps and working to fill them. They view every mistake as a learning opportunity rather than a source of shame. They solicit feedback actively rather than avoiding it. They thank those who point out their errors because they recognize that this information helps them improve. Consider the story of Michael, a young software developer who joined a tech company with solid programming skills but limited understanding of the company's specific systems and business domain. Michael could have faked his way through, nodding along in meetings even when he didn't fully understand, avoiding questions that might reveal his knowledge gaps, making excuses when his lack of understanding led to mistakes. Instead, he took the opposite approach. He asked questions constantly, intelligent questions that demonstrated he was thinking deeply about the problems, even if he didn't yet have all the answers. He scheduled informal lunch meetings with colleagues from different departments to understand how they used the software he was building. He requested regular feedback sessions with his supervisor, specifically asking what he could improve. When he made mistakes, he documented them and the lessons learned, creating a personal knowledge base that he referred to regularly. This combination of humility and commitment to learning accelerated Michael's development dramatically. Within a year, he had progressed further than developers who had been with the company for 3 or 4 years, but who had approached their learning passively, waiting for formal training rather than actively seeking knowledge. Michael's code quality improved rapidly, his ability to solve complex problems grew exponentially, and his understanding of the business context made him increasingly valuable for projects that required both technical skill and strategic thinking. The exceptional employee also demonstrates outstanding integrity, doing the right thing even when it's difficult, even when no one would know if they cut corners, even when maintaining their standards requires personal sacrifice. This integrity manifests in countless ways: accuracy in reporting, honesty in communication, fairness in dealing with others, consistency between words and actions. It means admitting mistakes rather than hiding them, giving credit to others rather than claiming it yourself, treating confidential information with appropriate discretion, maintaining the same standards whether you're being closely supervised or working independently. Marden is emphatic that integrity is not just a moral virtue, though it certainly is that, but also a practical necessity for long-term success. Reputations built on dishonesty eventually crumble. The short-term gains from cutting ethical corners are inevitably overwhelmed by the long-term costs when deception is discovered, or when the habit of dishonesty becomes ingrained. Conversely, a reputation for absolute integrity becomes an enormous asset, creating trust that opens doors, generates opportunities, and establishes the kind of professional relationships that support an entire career. Think about the employee who, when discovering a significant error that could be easily hidden, chooses instead to bring it to light immediately, accepting responsibility and focusing on solutions. In the short term, this might seem risky, potentially inviting criticism or negative consequences. But what actually happens? Management recognizes that they have someone they can trust to tell them the truth even when it's uncomfortable. Someone who prioritizes the organization's well-being over their own image. Someone whose future reports and assessments can be relied upon absolutely. This trust becomes invaluable in ways that far exceed any temporary difficulty caused by admitting the error. Or consider the employee who, when witnessing colleagues engaging in practices that are questionable or clearly wrong, doesn't simply go along to get along or look the other way to avoid conflict. The exceptional employee finds appropriate ways to address these situations, whether by speaking directly with those involved, escalating to management when necessary, or simply refusing to participate themselves. This takes courage, especially in environments where unethical practices have become normalized, but it's essential for maintaining personal integrity and for being someone who can be trusted in positions of increasing responsibility. The exceptional employee also excels at relationships, understanding that very little of value is accomplished alone, that success in almost any field requires the ability to work effectively with others. This doesn't mean being universally liked or avoiding all conflict, but it does mean treating others with respect, communicating clearly, being reliable in your commitments to colleagues, giving credit generously, offering help willingly, and handling disagreements professionally. Marden shares insights about the employee who makes themselves indispensable not just through technical skill, but through their ability to work harmoniously with diverse personalities, to diffuse tensions, to build consensus, to bring out the best in their teammates. This person becomes a linchpin in their organization, someone around whom teams naturally organize, someone whose departure would create a significant void not just in terms of their individual output, but in terms of the collaborative dynamics they fostered. Building strong workplace relationships requires emotional intelligence, the ability to read situations and people, to understand motivations and concerns beyond what's explicitly stated, to respond appropriately to different personalities and communication styles. The exceptional employee invests in developing these skills, paying attention to how their words and actions affect others, adjusting their approach based on feedback and observation, treating emotional intelligence as seriously as technical competencies. This relational excellence extends to how exceptional employees handle difficult interactions, dealing with an angry customer, resolving a conflict with a colleague, providing constructive feedback to a subordinate, receiving criticism from a supervisor. In each case, the exceptional employee maintains composure, seeks understanding before reacting, focuses on solutions rather than blame, and treats the other person with dignity even in challenging circumstances. These skills, often undervalued compared to technical abilities, frequently determine who advances to leadership positions, because organizations need people who can handle the human complexities of management, not just the technical aspects. The exceptional employee also demonstrates remarkable adaptability, the ability to adjust to changing circumstances, to learn new systems and processes, to embrace rather than resist change. In our rapidly evolving economy, this flexibility has become increasingly crucial. The companies that thrive are those that can pivot quickly, and the employees they value most are those who facilitate rather than obstruct these adaptations. This doesn't mean being a pushover or accepting every change uncritically, but it does mean approaching changes with an open mind, focusing on making new approaches work rather than dwelling on why the old ways were better, finding opportunities within changes rather than only seeing threats. The exceptional employee understands that resistance to inevitable changes is futile and counterproductive, that their energy is better spent adapting successfully than fighting unsuccessfully. Marden illustrates this with the story of Elizabeth, a bookkeeper who had used the same manual accounting methods for 15 years when her company decided to implement new computer systems. Many of her colleagues, some with even more tenure, responded with resistance, complaining about the unnecessary change, predicting disaster, dragging their feet in learning the new system. Elizabeth, despite being quite comfortable with the manual methods, and despite facing a steeper learning curve given her limited computer experience, took a different approach. She volunteered for the early training sessions, spent her evenings practicing with the new software, asked questions without embarrassment about concepts that were unfamiliar, and focused on finding the advantages of the new system rather than dwelling on what she missed about the old methods. The result was that Elizabeth not only adapted successfully, but she became a resource for others struggling with the transition. The company eventually asked her to help train other departments adopting the same system, which led to a newly created position as a training coordinator, a role she would never have accessed if she'd clung to the old methods or resisted the change. Her adaptability created an unexpected opportunity and significantly expanded her career options. Now, the exceptional employee also brings creativity and innovation to their work, not in the sense that everyone needs to be inventing revolutionary new products, but in the sense of constantly seeking better ways to do things, questioning assumptions, looking for improvements in processes and practices. This innovative mindset means not accepting we've always done it this way as sufficient justification, not being satisfied with adequate when excellent is possible, not treating current methods as sacred and unchangeable. This creativity requires a certain kind of courage, the willingness to suggest ideas that might not work, to risk looking foolish, to challenge established practices. But organizations desperately need this input. They need people who will question inefficiencies, who will propose alternatives, who will experiment with new approaches. The companies that stagnate are those where everyone simply follows established routines without question, while the companies that thrive are those where employees at all levels contribute ideas for improvement. Marden emphasizes that you don't need to be in a senior position to contribute innovative ideas. In fact, frontline employees often have the best insights about inefficiencies and improvement opportunities because they're closest to the actual work. The exceptional employee shares these insights constructively, not as complaints but as opportunities, not in ways that criticize colleagues, but in ways that focus on making things better. They understand that not every suggestion will be implemented, but they keep contributing ideas because they know that the few that succeed can make significant impacts. The exceptional employee also demonstrates what Marden calls constructive discontent, a refusal to become complacent, a drive to keep improving even after achieving success. This doesn't mean being perpetually unsatisfied or unhappy, but rather maintaining ambition, continuing to set new goals, refusing to rest on past accomplishments. While others celebrate reaching a certain position or salary and then coast, the exceptional employee treats each achievement as a platform for the next level of growth. This constructive discontent keeps them engaged and energized over long careers. They don't experience the mid-career stagnation that affects so many people who achieve their initial goals and then find themselves without direction. They're always learning something new, tackling fresh challenges, expanding their capabilities, which keeps work interesting and ensures they remain valuable as circumstances change. But Marden is careful to distinguish this constructive discontent from toxic dissatisfaction, from the attitude of people who constantly complain about their circumstances but never do anything to improve them. The exceptional employee channels their discontent into action, into concrete steps toward improvement, into achievable goals and measurable progress. They take responsibility for their own development and advancement rather than waiting for others to provide it. Another crucial characteristic that Marden identifies is attention to detail, the commitment to excellence in the small things that others might consider insignificant. The exceptional employee understands that details matter, that the quality of minor tasks reflects the quality they'll bring to major responsibilities, that sloppiness in little things inevitably spreads to bigger things. They proofread their emails, they organize their workspace, they follow up on loose ends, they dot their I's and cross their T's, not because they're obsessive, but because they recognize that excellence is a habit developed through countless small choices. This attention to detail creates reliability. When you're known as someone who gets the small things right, others trust you with increasingly important responsibilities. Conversely, employees who are careless about details, who make frequent small errors, who need constant quality checking, find themselves stuck at lower levels because management can't trust them with higher stakes work. Consider the story of David, an aspiring architect working as a draftsman in a prestigious firm, who noticed that senior architects consistently praised his work for its accuracy and completeness, while other draftsmen's work often required revisions. David's secret wasn't superior talent, it was simply his methodical approach to checking his own work before submitting it, catching errors that others missed, ensuring that dimensions were consistent, that notes were clear, that nothing was ambiguous or incomplete. This attention to detail meant that projects incorporating David's work moved more smoothly, with fewer delays and problems during construction, which made him increasingly valuable to the firm and accelerated his advancement toward becoming a licensed architect himself. The exceptional employee also demonstrates strong time management and organizational skills. They meet deadlines consistently. They prioritize effectively. They don't constantly operate in crisis mode because they've planned ahead. This doesn't mean they never face emergencies or tight deadlines, but it means these situations arise from external circumstances rather than from their own poor planning. They understand that managing their time well shows respect for others who depend on them, that missing deadlines or producing rushed, sloppy work creates problems for colleagues and supervisors. Effective time management also means knowing when to say no, when to push back on unrealistic expectations, when to negotiate deadlines rather than simply accepting impossible demands and then failing to deliver. The exceptional employee communicates proactively about potential timeline issues, proposing solutions rather than just announcing problems, helping management understand trade-offs and make informed decisions about priorities. Marden emphasizes the importance of maintaining this organizational discipline even during busy periods, actually especially during busy periods, because that's when the temptation to let standards slip is strongest. The exceptional employee understands that the reputation they build during difficult times is even more valuable than the one they build during easy times, that anyone can perform well when everything is going smoothly, but true character shows in how you handle pressure and adversity. The exceptional employee also takes ownership of their career development. They don't simply wait for their employer to provide opportunities or direction. They actively manage their own professional growth. This means having clear career goals, understanding what skills and experiences they need to achieve those goals, seeking out opportunities that align with their development needs, and being willing to make strategic moves when necessary to keep advancing. This proactive approach to career management might mean requesting assignments that stretch your capabilities, volunteering for projects that provide valuable experience, seeking mentors who can provide guidance, pursuing additional education or certifications that increase your value, or even changing employers when your current position no longer offers growth opportunities. The exceptional employee understands that loyalty to an employer is important, but that ultimately they're responsible for their own career trajectory. Marden shares the perspective that employers respect this kind of initiative, that managers generally want to help ambitious employees develop and advance, especially when those employees have proven themselves valuable. The key is communicating your aspirations appropriately, demonstrating through your performance that you're ready for greater responsibilities, and being patient while also being proactive, understanding that advancement comes to those who deserve it and position themselves for it. Now, as we approach the end of our comprehensive exploration of what makes an exceptional employee, I want to take just a moment to ask for your support. If these insights have been valuable, if you found inspiration in these stories and principles, please show your appreciation by liking this video and subscribing to Audiobook Library. We pour tremendous effort into creating these detailed explorations of classic success literature, and your subscription genuinely helps us continue this work. It signals to the platform that this content matters, that these timeless principles deserve to reach more people, that there's an audience hungry for substantial, thoughtful content about personal and professional development. So please, take just a second right now to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our new releases. Let's continue with our examination of exceptional employees by discussing their relationship with authority and how they handle supervision. The exceptional employee makes their supervisor's job easier, not harder. They don't require constant oversight. They don't create unnecessary problems or drama. They don't waste their manager's time with issues they could resolve themselves. They understand that their supervisor has their own responsibilities and pressures, and they aim to be a solution rather than an additional burden. This doesn't mean being a yes person or never pushing back on questionable directives, but it means choosing your battles wisely, presenting disagreements constructively, offering alternatives rather than just criticism, and ultimately supporting decisions once they're made, even if you initially disagreed. The exceptional employee understands that authority structures exist for reasons, that while they're not perfect, they're necessary for organizational functioning, and that undermining leadership creates chaos that hurts everyone. At the same time, exceptional employees aren't blindly obedient. They're willing to speak up when they see problems, to voice concerns about ethical issues, to provide honest feedback when asked for their input. They do this professionally and constructively, through appropriate channels, in ways that focus on the organization's best interests rather than personal grievances. This balanced approach, respecting authority while maintaining intellectual independence and ethical integrity, makes them valuable advisors and eventually leaders themselves. Marden also addresses the importance of professionalism in all interactions, maintaining appropriate boundaries, dressing appropriately for your workplace, communicating in ways that reflect well on yourself and your organization, being mindful of how your behavior affects your professional reputation. This professionalism extends to digital presence as well, being thoughtful about what you post on social media, how you represent yourself online, understanding that in our connected age, personal and professional personas are increasingly difficult to separate. The exceptional employee also demonstrates resilience. the ability to bounce back from setbacks, disappointments, and failures. Every career includes these difficult moments, projects that don't succeed, promotions that go to someone else, criticism that stings, mistakes that create problems. The exceptional employee doesn't let these experiences defeat them or make them bitter. Instead, they process the disappointment, learn whatever lessons the situation offers, and move forward with renewed determination. This resilience stems partly from perspective, from understanding that setbacks are temporary, that one failure doesn't define you, that long careers include many ups and downs. It also stems from self-confidence that's grounded in legitimate accomplishment. When you know you're capable and have proven it repeatedly, individual setbacks lose their power to devastate you. You can acknowledge that a particular outcome disappointed you while maintaining belief in your overall trajectory. Marden shares the story of Margaret, a marketing professional who proposed an ambitious campaign that her company approved and implemented, only to have it fail spectacularly, generating significant losses and some public embarrassment for the company. Margaret could have been paralyzed by this failure, could have become afraid to propose bold ideas, could have let the experience damage her confidence irreparably. Instead, she conducted a thorough analysis of what went wrong, took full responsibility for her role in the failure, presented her findings to leadership along with insights about what she'd learned, and then continued proposing ideas with appropriate adjustments based on her new knowledge. Leadership was impressed by her resilience and her willingness to learn from failure rather than being defeated by it. Within 2 years, she led another major campaign that succeeded brilliantly, and the experience of having failed and recovered actually enhanced her credibility and her ability to lead effectively. The failure became a defining moment, not because it ended her career, but because how she responded to it demonstrated her exceptional character. The exceptional employee also practices what might be called enlightened self-interest, understanding that their individual success is connected to their organization's success, that creating value for their employer ultimately creates value for themselves. This perspective helps them avoid the trap of adversarial thinking, viewing the employment relationship as win-lose rather than win-win, focusing on extracting maximum pay and benefits while providing minimum effort. Instead, the exceptional employee recognizes that generosity, that going beyond strict requirements, that investing in their organization's success ultimately serves their own interests, because valuable employees who contribute to profitable, successful organizations are rewarded with job security, advancement opportunities, and increasing compensation. They understand that the employment relationship is fundamentally a value exchange, that their earning potential is directly tied to the value they create, and that the way to maximize their earnings over time is to maximize their value contribution. This doesn't mean being naive or allowing yourself to be exploited. It means being strategic, choosing employers who appropriately reward exceptional performance, setting clear expectations about compensation and advancement, and being willing to move on if an organization doesn't value your contributions fairly. But it also means doing your part, being someone whose value is obvious and undeniable, making it easy for fair-minded employers to justify investing in you. Marden emphasizes throughout his work that these principles apply across all types of employment, from factory workers to corporate executives, from retail clerks to skilled professionals. The characteristics that distinguish exceptional employees remain consistent. The specific technical skills required vary widely across positions and industries, but the fundamental qualities, reliability, initiative, enthusiasm, integrity, continuous learning, attention to detail, professionalism, resilience, these transcend particular jobs and create success wherever they're applied. This is profoundly encouraging because it means that anyone, regardless of their starting point, regardless of advantages or disadvantages they may have inherited, can choose to become exceptional in their field. You don't need perfect circumstances or special opportunities. You need to embrace these principles and apply them consistently over time. The compound effect of making excellent choices day after day, year after year, is extraordinary, creating career trajectories that would seem impossible to predict from the starting point. Consider where you are right now in your own career. Perhaps you're just starting out. Perhaps you're in mid-career feeling stuck. Perhaps you're recovering from a setback. Perhaps you're actually doing quite well but hungry for more. Wherever you are, these principles can transform your trajectory if you apply them genuinely and consistently. The question is whether you will, whether you'll choose to become exceptional or remain ordinary, whether you'll embrace the standards and habits that distinguish the top performers or settle into the comfortable mediocrity that characterizes most employees. This choice matters enormously, not just for your earning potential, though exceptional employees do tend to earn significantly more over their careers, but for your sense of fulfillment and purpose. There's deep satisfaction in knowing you've done excellent work, in seeing tangible results from your efforts, in building a reputation for excellence, in becoming someone others respect and seek out. This satisfaction goes beyond money, though the money is nice too. It's about living with integrity, maximizing your potential, contributing something valuable to the world. Marden believed passionately that each person has within them far greater capability than they typically demonstrate, that most people live and die having used only a fraction of their potential. The exceptional employee rejects this fate. They refuse to settle for fractional performance. They commit to developing and utilizing their full capabilities. This commitment requires work. It requires discipline. It requires maintaining standards when you're tired or discouraged. But the rewards are immense and lasting. Think about the legacy you're building with every day you work, every task you complete, every interaction you have with colleagues and customers. You're creating a reputation, building skills, forming habits, establishing patterns that will characterize your entire career. The question is what kind of legacy you want to create. Will people remember you as someone who did the minimum, who coasted through, who was forgettable? Or will they remember you as someone who brought excellence to everything you touched, who inspired others through your example, who made a genuine difference in your organization and industry? The path to exceptional performance isn't mysterious or complicated. It's actually quite straightforward. Be reliable, take initiative, bring enthusiasm, maintain integrity, keep learning, pay attention to details, manage your time well, build strong relationships, stay adaptable, think creatively, remain resilient, practice professionalism, and take ownership of your development. None of these require extraordinary talent. All are available to anyone willing to commit to them. The complexity is in consistent application, in maintaining these standards day after day, week after week, year after year. This consistency is where most people fail. They have bursts of excellence followed by periods of mediocrity. They perform well when being observed but slack when they're not. They're enthusiastic when starting new positions but gradually lose their edge. The exceptional employee maintains excellence regardless of circumstances, regardless of whether anyone's watching, regardless of how they feel on a particular day. They understand that reputation is built through consistency, that one brilliant week followed by months of mediocrity doesn't create exceptional status, that it's the steady accumulation of excellent work that ultimately distinguishes careers. Marden also emphasizes the importance of patience. Combined with ambition, the exceptional employee is simultaneously satisfied with where they are and hungry for more. They take pride in their current work, bringing excellence to their present responsibilities while also preparing for future opportunities. They don't waste their present by obsessing about the future, but they also don't get so comfortable with their current position that they stop growing. This balance is delicate but crucial. Impatience that makes you dissatisfied with your current role and causes you to perform it poorly while waiting for something better undermines your advancement because you're not demonstrating readiness for greater responsibilities. But complacency that makes you content to stay exactly where you are indefinitely means you'll wake up decades later having made no progress, having let opportunities pass by, having failed to develop your potential. The exceptional employee walks the line between these extremes, excelling in their current role while actively preparing for the next level. This preparation takes many forms: observing and learning from those in positions you aspire to, developing skills you'll need for future roles, building relationships with people who can support your advancement, understanding the broader business context beyond your specific function, demonstrating through your current performance that you're ready for greater challenges. The exceptional employee doesn't just wait to be noticed, they position themselves strategically so that when opportunities arise, they're the obvious choice. But here's something crucial that Marden emphasizes. The exceptional employee doesn't step on others to climb, doesn't sabotage colleagues, doesn't take credit for others' work, doesn't advance themselves by diminishing those around them. They understand that sustainable success comes from lifting others as you rise, from building genuine collaborative relationships, from creating value so obvious that it needs no artificial inflation through tearing others down. The person who advances by backstabbing and politics may achieve short-term gains, but they build a reputation that ultimately limits them. People stop trusting them, stop wanting to work with them, stop supporting their advancement. In contrast, the exceptional employee who builds others up, who shares credit generously, who helps colleagues succeed, creates a network of supporters who champion their advancement. They become known as someone who makes everyone around them better, and organizations desperately want such people in leadership positions because they multiply effectiveness rather than just adding their individual contribution. Consider the story of Robert, a sales manager who could have focused solely on his own team's numbers, competing with other managers for resources and recognition, perhaps even celebrating when other teams struggled because it made his own performance look better by comparison. Instead, Robert freely shared successful techniques with other managers, helped struggling salespeople on other teams when asked, celebrated others' successes genuinely, and focused on making the entire sales organization better rather than just his own team. Some colleagues thought he was foolish, that he was helping his competition, that he should hoard his knowledge and advantages. But here's what actually happened. Robert's generosity built tremendous goodwill throughout the organization. When leadership positions opened up, he had enthusiastic supporters at all levels. His reputation as someone who elevated everyone around him made him the obvious choice for regional director. When that position became available, a role that would never have gone to the managers who focused only on their own narrow interests. Robert's understanding that success is not a zero-sum game, that making others successful doesn't diminish your own success, positioned him for advancement that his more competitive colleagues never achieved. The exceptional employee also demonstrates what might be called professional courage, the willingness to tackle difficult challenges, to volunteer for the tough assignments that others avoid, to speak up when something's wrong, even when silence would be easier, to admit mistakes even when they could be hidden, to deliver difficult messages when necessary, to stand by their principles even under pressure. This courage doesn't mean being reckless or foolish, but it means not letting fear be the primary driver of your decisions. Marden illustrates this with numerous examples of individuals who faced moments requiring courage, situations where the easy path was clearly wrong, but the right path carried real risks. The exceptional employee in these moments chooses based on principles rather than convenience, trusts that integrity ultimately proves wise even when it's costly in the short term, understands that their character is more valuable than any temporary advantage gained through compromise. Think about the employee who discovers that a product has a safety flaw that hasn't been caught in quality control. Speaking up about this will delay shipments, might create conflict with colleagues who want to meet their deadlines, could potentially reflect poorly on multiple departments, but the exceptional employee doesn't hesitate. They report the issue immediately because they know that selling a flawed product would be far worse than the temporary inconvenience of addressing the problem. This kind of courage protects the organization even when some in the organization might resent the short-term complications it creates. Or consider the employee who sees a colleague being treated unfairly, perhaps experiencing discrimination or harassment. The easy choice is to look away, to tell yourself it's not your problem, to avoid the potential awkwardness and conflict of getting involved. The exceptional employee doesn't take the easy path. They speak up, they support their colleague, they escalate the issue if necessary, because they understand that workplace culture is everyone's responsibility, that silence in the face of wrongdoing makes you complicit. These moments of courage define careers in ways that go far beyond the specific situations. They establish who you are, what you stand for, what people can expect from you. The reputation you build through courageous choices becomes a form of capital that compounds over time, opening doors, creating opportunities, attracting mentors and allies who want to work with people of principle. Marden also addresses the importance of maintaining perspective and balance, of not letting work consume your entire existence at the expense of health, relationships, and personal development. The exceptional employee brings their best self to work, which requires taking care of that self, getting adequate rest, maintaining physical health, nurturing important relationships, developing interests outside of work, managing stress effectively. They understand that sustainable excellence over a long career requires treating yourself as an asset to be maintained rather than a resource to be exploited. This balance actually enhances work performance rather than detracting from it. The employee who's well-rested, healthy, and emotionally fulfilled brings more energy, creativity, and resilience to their work than the one who's burned out, exhausted, and resentful. The exceptional employee understands this and makes choices accordingly. They work hard and produce excellent results, but they also recognize that there are limits to sustainable intensity. That consistent, solid performance beats sporadic bursts of brilliance followed by crashes. They also understand that perspective from outside of work enriches their professional contributions, that diverse experiences and interests provide insights and creative connections that purely work-focused individuals miss, that relationships outside of work remind them what they're working for, and prevent their entire identity from being wrapped up in their job title. This balanced approach creates resilience. When work provides disappointments, which it inevitably will, you're not devastated because you have other sources of meaning and satisfaction. The exceptional employee also practices gratitude, appreciating opportunities they're given, expressing thanks to those who help them, recognizing that their success is never purely individual, but depends on countless contributions from others. This gratitude isn't just polite, though it is that. It's also strategic. People want to help those who appreciate it, who acknowledge contributions, who express genuine thanks. The employee who takes everything for granted, who treats support as their due, who never expresses appreciation, finds that help dries up over time. Gratitude also keeps you grounded, reminds you that whatever you've achieved was made possible by others who taught you, gave you opportunities, believed in you when you were unproven, provided support during difficult times. This recognition creates humility that makes you more effective and more pleasant to work with, prevents the arrogance that sometimes develops when people achieve success and forget the help they received along the way. Marden shares the example of Catherine, who made it her practice to send handwritten thank you notes to anyone who helped her significantly, whether mentors who provided guidance, colleagues who assisted on projects, supervisors who gave her opportunities, even vendors and service providers who went beyond minimum requirements to support her work. This wasn't manipulation or insincere flattery. It was genuine appreciation expressed thoughtfully. and the impact was remarkable. People remembered Catherine. They wanted to help her again. They spoke positively about her to others. They thought of her when opportunities arose. Her practice of gratitude created a network of goodwill that supported her entire career. Now, the exceptional employee also demonstrates what we might call strategic thinking, the ability to see beyond immediate tasks to larger patterns and implications, to understand how their work fits into broader organizational goals, to anticipate future needs and position themselves accordingly, to think several steps ahead rather than just reacting to current circumstances. This strategic perspective makes them valuable advisors and natural candidates for leadership roles because they've demonstrated they can think at organizational rather than just individual levels. This strategic thinking shows up in numerous ways. When given an assignment, the exceptional employee doesn't just ask, "What exactly should I do?" but rather, "Why are we doing this? What outcome are we trying to achieve? How does this fit into our larger objectives?" Understanding the why behind tasks enables better execution because you can make intelligent adjustments rather than just following instructions rigidly. It also enables you to propose alternatives when you see better approaches, to identify conflicts with other priorities, to understand which aspects of a task are crucial and which are flexible. Strategic thinking also means paying attention to industry trends, competitive dynamics, technological changes, regulatory developments, anything that might affect your organization's future and therefore your own career trajectory. The exceptional employee reads broadly, networks with people in their industry, attends conferences and professional events, stays informed about developments that others miss because they're focused only on their immediate responsibilities. This broader awareness enables them to spot opportunities and threats early, to position themselves advantageously, to provide valuable insights that purely task-focused employees miss entirely. Marden emphasizes that this strategic perspective should be shared generously. When you see opportunities or threats, you bring them to appropriate people's attention. When you have insights about industry trends, you share them with your team and leadership. When you identify potential improvements, you propose them constructively. The exceptional employee understands that hoarding information doesn't create advantage, it just makes you less valuable because organizations need people who contribute to collective intelligence rather than trying to monopolize knowledge. The exceptional employee also masters the art of effective communication, both written and verbal, formal and informal. They understand that brilliant ideas poorly communicated are less valuable than good ideas clearly expressed, that the ability to articulate thoughts persuasively, to write clearly and concisely, to present information compellingly, dramatically increases your influence and impact. They invest in developing these skills, seeking feedback on their communication, studying effective communicators, practicing important presentations, taking time to craft important written documents carefully. This communication excellence includes listening, really listening, not just waiting for your turn to talk, but genuinely trying to understand others' perspectives, concerns, and ideas. The exceptional employee asks clarifying questions, paraphrases to confirm understanding, pays attention to non-verbal cues, creates space for others to express themselves fully. This listening skill builds relationships, prevents misunderstandings, uncovers important information that might otherwise be missed, and demonstrates respect that makes others more receptive to your own communication. Think about how rare truly effective communication is in most workplaces. How many problems stem from misunderstandings, unclear instructions, poor documentation, ineffective meetings, unproductive email chains? The employee who can cut through this noise, who communicates with clarity and precision, who listens carefully and asks good questions, becomes extraordinarily valuable simply by reducing the friction and confusion that plague most organizations. The exceptional employee also demonstrates appropriate assertiveness, not aggressiveness but assertiveness. The ability to advocate for themselves, to negotiate fair compensation, to request deserved promotions, to set appropriate boundaries, to push back on unreasonable demands, to stand up for their ideas and proposals. This assertiveness stems from confidence grounded in legitimate accomplishment. When you know you're valuable because you've proven it repeatedly, you can advocate for yourself without arrogance or defensiveness. Many talented people plateau in their careers not because they lack ability, but because they're uncomfortable advocating for themselves. They hope to be noticed and rewarded without having to ask. They accept whatever is offered rather than negotiating. They take on unreasonable workloads rather than setting boundaries. They let others take credit for their ideas rather than ensuring their contributions are recognized. The exceptional employee doesn't make these mistakes. They understand that part of professional responsibility is ensuring they're appropriately valued and compensated, that this isn't selfishness, but rather proper stewardship of their own career. Marden shares the story of William, a talented engineer who consistently did excellent work, but who watched as less capable colleagues who were more comfortable promoting themselves advanced more rapidly. William believed that good work should speak for itself, that self-promotion was unseemly, that he should be recognized based purely on merit. Finally, a mentor helped him understand that while his work was indeed excellent, decision-makers weren't fully aware of his contributions because he never talked about them, that in a busy organization, you can't assume people will notice everything you do, that appropriate self-advocacy is part of professional responsibility. William adjusted his approach, not becoming a braggart, but rather ensuring that his accomplishments were visible, documenting his contributions, sharing his successes appropriately, making sure his supervisor understood the full scope and impact of his work. He also started negotiating more effectively, researching market rates for his skills, making a case for compensation increases based on his value rather than just accepting whatever was offered. The result was dramatic. Within 2 years, he received 2 promotions he would likely have waited much longer for, along with compensation increases that reflected his true market value. The exceptional employee also cultivates what might be called professional presence, carrying themselves with confidence without arrogance, demonstrating competence without pretension, being someone others naturally respect and want to work with. This presence comes partly from how you dress and present yourself physically, meeting or slightly exceeding your workplace's standards, but more fundamentally it comes from consistency between your words and actions, from delivering on commitments, from maintaining composure under pressure, from treating others with respect regardless of their position. This professional presence makes people want to work with you, to support you, to trust you with important responsibilities. It's not about being intimidating or putting on airs. It's about being genuinely competent and confident in ways that others can see and feel. When you walk into a room, do people feel that someone capable has arrived, someone who will contribute value, someone they're glad to have involved? The exceptional employee cultivates this presence through hundreds of small choices about how they present themselves, how they interact with others, how they handle various situations. Now, Marden also addresses the reality that becoming an exceptional employee requires sacrifice. There will be times when you stay late while others leave, when you tackle difficult problems while others avoid them, when you invest personal time in learning while others are entertaining themselves, when you maintain standards while others cut corners. These sacrifices are real, and it's important to acknowledge them honestly rather than pretending that excellence comes without cost. But here's the crucial insight. The costs of mediocrity are actually far higher than the costs of excellence. They're just distributed differently over time. The mediocre employee might have easier days in the short term, less stress, fewer demands, more time for leisure, but over years and decades they pay enormous costs: limited career advancement, lower lifetime earnings, less interesting and fulfilling work, fewer opportunities, less respect, less security in changing economic conditions. The exceptional employee makes different trade-offs, investing more in the present to create a better future, working harder in the short term to make their long-term career easier and more rewarding. When you understand these trade-offs clearly, the choice to pursue excellence becomes more obviously wise. Yes, it requires discipline and effort now, but it creates compounding advantages that make your entire career better. The investment in becoming exceptional pays returns for decades, while the choice to be merely adequate creates limitations that persist just as long. The exceptional employee also understands the importance of finishing strong, of maintaining excellence all the way through projects and tasks, not letting quality slip as you approach completion, ensuring that final impressions match initial ones. It's tempting to relax standards as a project nears completion. You're tired, you're ready to move on to something else, the hard part is done. But the exceptional employee resists this temptation, understanding that how you finish matters enormously, that sloppy endings undermine otherwise excellent work. Think about the employee who does 90% of a project brilliantly but then submits it with typos in the final document, or without following through on the last few action items, or without proper documentation. The overall impression is diminished. The user or client experiences frustration. The excellence of the earlier work is partially negated by the weak finish. In contrast, the employee who maintains standards all the way through, who ensures every detail is handled properly, who finishes as strong as they started, creates impressions of thoroughness and reliability that enhance their reputation. Marden emphasizes that exceptional employees are built through daily choices, through the accumulation of small decisions to do the right thing, to maintain standards, to go a bit beyond requirements. No single choice transforms you, but the compound effect of consistent choices over months and years creates fundamental transformation. This is both challenging and encouraging. Challenging because it means you don't get to coast. You have to keep making excellent choices day after day. Encouraging because it means you can start right now, today, this moment. With your very next task, you don't need to wait for perfect circumstances or dramatic opportunities. You just need to bring excellence to whatever is in front of you. Consider where you'll be 5 years from now if you make this commitment. If starting today you bring reliability, initiative, enthusiasm, integrity, continuous learning, attention to detail, and all the other qualities we've discussed to your work, 5 years of consistent, excellent choices will transform your capabilities, your reputation, your value, your opportunities, your compensation, your career trajectory. You'll look back amazed at how far you've come, at doors that have opened, at possibilities that have emerged, at the person you've become. Or consider the alternative. 5 years from now, if you continue with mediocre performance, with minimal effort, with standards that are just barely adequate, where will you be? Probably in roughly the same place you are now, maybe even worse off as younger, hungrier colleagues pass you by, as your skills become outdated, as opportunities go to others who demonstrated more ambition and capability. The trajectory you're on right now, unless you change it, extends into your future. The habits you have today are creating your reality 5, 10, 20 years from now. This is why these principles matter so profoundly, why this isn't just about being a better employee, but about creating a better life, about maximizing your potential, about becoming who you're capable of being. The workplace is where most of us spend the majority of our waking hours. It's where we can develop ourselves, test ourselves, prove ourselves, contribute something valuable to the world. Approaching this enormous portion of our lives with mediocrity, with minimal effort, with low standards, is a tragic waste of precious time and potential. The exceptional employee understands this deeply. They see their work as more than just a means to a paycheck, though they certainly want to be well compensated. They see it as an arena for growth, for achievement, for making a difference, for becoming excellent at something worth doing. This perspective transforms the entire experience of work. It makes even difficult days meaningful. It makes challenges exciting rather than just frustrating. It makes success deeply satisfying because it's earned through genuine effort and excellence. Marden concludes his exploration of exceptional employees by reminding us that these principles are not theoretical ideals, but practical approaches that have been proven by countless individuals across every industry and era. People who started with no special advantages, but who chose to become exceptional through commitment to these timeless principles. People whose careers demonstrated the extraordinary power of bringing excellence to ordinary work. People who proved that exceptional performance creates exceptional opportunities. You have within you right now everything you need to become an exceptional employee in your field. You have the capacity for reliability, for initiative, for enthusiasm, for integrity, for learning, for attention to detail, for professionalism, for all the qualities that distinguish exceptional performance. The only question is whether you'll choose to develop and demonstrate these qualities consistently, whether you'll commit to excellence not just when it's convenient, but as a fundamental standard, whether you'll invest in becoming the kind of employee that every organization values and wants to retain. This choice is yours, completely yours. Circumstances might constrain some aspects of your career, but your choice to pursue excellence or settle for mediocrity is entirely within your control. No one can make this choice for you. No one can stop you from making it. If you're determined, your current employer can't stop you from developing yourself, from bringing excellence to your work, from building capabilities that will serve you throughout your career. Even if they don't recognize and reward it appropriately, those investments in yourself have value that you take with you wherever you go. So make the choice. Decide right now that you will become an exceptional employee, that you will bring these principles to life in your daily work, that you will develop the habits and characteristics that create long-term success. Don't wait for perfect circumstances. Don't wait until you have a better job or a more appreciative boss. Don't wait until you feel fully ready. Start now, today. With whatever work is in front of you, bring excellence to it. Demonstrate reliability, show initiative, maintain integrity, pay attention to details, treat it as an opportunity to build your capabilities and your reputation. And as you do this, as you commit to these principles and apply them consistently, watch what happens. Watch as opportunities begin to emerge, as your value becomes increasingly obvious, as people start to notice and appreciate your contributions, as advancement comes to you because you've proven you deserve it, as your career trajectory begins to shift in ways that might seem impossible from where you are now. This is the power of exceptional performance. It creates its own opportunities, it opens doors, it attracts support, it generates momentum that compounds over time. Remember, every exceptional employee whose story has been shared in this exploration started somewhere ordinary. They weren't born exceptional. They chose to become exceptional through commitment to these principles. They face the same challenges you face, the same temptations to cut corners, the same difficulties maintaining standards when tired or discouraged, the same uncertainties about whether their efforts would pay off. But they persisted. They kept making excellent choices. They trusted that consistent excellence would create results even when those results weren't immediately visible, and they were right. You can be right too. You can prove through your own career that these principles work, that excellence creates opportunities, that consistent superior performance leads to superior outcomes, that investing in yourself through developing these exceptional qualities generates returns throughout your entire career. The path is clear, the principles are proven, the choice is yours. Will you commit to becoming exceptional, or will you settle for being ordinary? Will you maximize your potential, or leave it largely untapped? Will you build a career you're proud of, or one you merely endure? Before we close, I want to ask one more time for your support of this channel. If you found value in this comprehensive exploration of what makes an employee truly exceptional, please take just a moment to like this video and subscribe to Audiobook Library. Your subscription truly matters. It helps us reach more people with these timeless success principles. It enables us to continue creating detailed, thoughtful content that goes far beyond surface-level advice, that really explores these classic works of success literature in depth and detail. And here's something important. 97% of our viewers haven't subscribed to the channel yet. If you're in that 97% and you've enjoyed this content, please consider joining the 3% who have subscribed. It takes just a second, but it makes an enormous difference to our ability to keep creating this content for you. Also, please check out our channel's video library. We have extensive explorations of other classic success and personal development works, deep dives into timeless principles that can transform your career, your finances, your relationships, your entire life. Each video is crafted with the same care and detail as this one, giving you comprehensive understanding rather than just quick summaries, providing real value that you can apply immediately in your own life. These resources are all available to you right now, waiting to support your growth and development. The journey to becoming an exceptional employee begins with a single decision: the decision to refuse mediocrity, to embrace excellence, to commit to continuous improvement, to bring your very best to whatever work you do. Make that decision now. Commit to these principles, apply them consistently, and watch as your career transforms in ways that might seem impossible from where you currently stand. You have greatness within you, potential waiting to be developed, capabilities that will astonish you once you commit to bringing them forth. Don't let that potential go untapped. Don't settle for being average when exceptional is available to you through choice and commitment. Go forward from this moment with renewed commitment to excellence, with clear understanding of the principles that create exceptional performance, with determination to apply these principles consistently regardless of circumstances, with confidence that your investment in becoming exceptional will generate returns throughout your entire career, and with excitement about the person you're becoming and the career you're building through these choices. The exceptional employee is not someone else, someone more talented or more fortunate. The exceptional employee is who you become when you commit to these timeless principles and apply them faithfully in your daily work. Make that commitment now and begin creating the exceptional career you deserve.